Alright, welcome back to our tutorial series and designing the level, our first level I should say. In this series, or in this particular episode, we're going to add one more item and then a way to end the game. You may have actually seen the item in an insert shot just like this one from one of the earlier tutorials, and there it is. Let's go ahead and add something fun that we can interact with. How about a coin? Let's go ahead and make a coin. So under items here, I'm going to go ahead and right click and do a blueprint class. Let's do an actor, and I'll just call this coin. And open that up. So for our coin, we just need a cylinder. So I'll CYL for cylinder. I'm going to go ahead and name my cylinder. I'll just call it coin. And coin is pretty much just a cylinder just flattened out, so I'm going to grab my scale tool. You can get that by pressing R or spacebar until you get to it, or you can choose it up here in the menu. Okay, and I'm going to scale this down, and if you notice that your scaling is popping a lot, all the way to the right you have a scale setting. You can choose how much it pops, so it snaps quite a bit, or you can have it snap a little bit, whatever you choose. Remember that there's a setting for each one of these. So this one's movement, this one's rotation, and this one is scale. If you don't want the scale or the scale snapping at all, you can uncheck the arrow, and it'll be a very smooth adjustment. Okay. But for me, I want my coin to be kind of thin. And then I'm going to rotate my coin so it's on its edge. So rotation tool, I'll rotate it 90 degrees. 90 degrees. And I do want to have my coin so it is not directly with the ground. I'm going to have it float. So in previous video we had objects become the root, but in this case I want this to kind of float, and I don't really want it to be attached to the root. You can have it float with the root, it's fine, but I think it's going to be convenient that when we place the coins in, they're at a specific height. So to do that, I'm just going to leave the root in there. I'm going to raise this just above the root, however high I want it to be, so that it's kind of hovering. And if I hit compile and I throw this into the level, you can see there it is. You don't have to worry about that little ball. That ball will disappear when we play. It's just there as a reference, so you know that it does have a root. I can't collect the coin yet because, well, it just makes me hit it. So I'm going to go back in, take this up just a little bit more. I need a collision boundary so that I can collect the coin. So I'm going to select the coin, add component, and type in COL for collision. And Unreal doesn't really have a cylindrical collision boundary. So the closest thing here, just kind of pick one. I'm going to do a box collision because I think that's pretty close to what I need. And I will scale it so that it fits my object. Oops. Let me readjust my snaps here. There we go. I'll give it some generosity so the player can hit it. Make sure it is a little thicker so that the character can get it. And you can add a cylinder, or you can add a sphere to this, or however you want this collision boundary to be. It's not that crucial in this case. I'll hit compile. And now I want to do two things. I want to make it so that our player can collect it, and that it rotates, it spins while it's in the air. So I'll go to event graph. I don't need my begin play, so I'll get rid of that, but I will need my overlap, and I will need the tick. So let's do the spinning part first. That one's easy. I'm going to go ahead and drag off from tick. I'm going to do add rotation. Now you do have a few options. You can add local or you can add world. The difference between local and world has to do with the object itself. So if I go back to the object real quick, select the object, and I bring up the move tool, you can see that relative to our compass, this has its own compass, right? The world location Z is up, and then X is forward, Y is left and right. So local talks to this object's perspective of the world. So if I were to rotate this object around its Z-axis, it would rotate along its edge this way, right? If I were to do that in the world, if I were to rotate world, it would rotate all around the world's Z-axis and it would spin this way, right? So it just depends on which one you want to poke at and knowing the difference between the two. Okay, so I'm going to go in here and I'm going to do add world rotation, so add world rotation. And you can do world rotation to the box, to the coin. You can do it to the root. If you do to like all of it, the whole thing will rotate. I really only care for the coin to rotate, so the coin will rotate, and because the box is a child of the coin, that'll rotate too. I'm going to rename the box collision, that way you know what it is. So I'll say this collision. And then for the rotation, you could type a value in here. Let's see, we're doing the Z rotation, so I'll do like 100. Compile. Save it. We'll throw this in. It's already in there. And you can see there it goes. Whee. But it does have physics apply, or it does have force on it, right? So if I hit it, it's going to fling me, and that's not what I want. So let's go back in there. I'm going to dial the rotation down to like 50. Then go ahead and select the coin. I'm going to come over to its properties here. I'm going to scroll down to collision. And you can see we have a collision option. And right now it is set to block all. I'm going to actually set it to no collision. That way the player does not get knocked around by the coin, because that wouldn't be too fun. I mean, it could be fun if you were a cruel master. You are the god of your own design, right? For the overlap, I'm going to have it so that when the player touches the coin goes and disappears. So let's go ahead and drag off from our execution wire. We're going to cast to player, so cast to player. Here we are. I don't want anything else in the world to be able to pick up the coin, so if you were to knock a coin over or something, it wouldn't pick itself up. So let's go ahead and plug that into my object. And then from here, I want to do two things. I want to have the coin update the number of points or coins that my character can have, and also to destroy itself. So to get it to count for the player, I have to compile here. I actually have to create a coin option for my player. So let's go to the player object. So inside of our player, I'll open him up. And he needs a variable. So down here under variables, I'll hit variable. And I'm going to create a variable called coin count. Now you could make this as points, you could have it as coins, whatever you want it to do. But for my case, I'm just going to make it coin count. And I'm going to change the type. So the red is a Boolean type, that's yes or no. Floats are for doing math, like precise math. And integers are really good for counting things. So I'm going to go ahead and grab integer. And I'm going to drag that in. And actually, I don't really need to set this anywhere. I'm just going to leave it here. But it does say compile. So I'll go ahead and compile the blueprint. And we're going to start off with 0 coins. So we're not going to have any when we start. When I go back to my coin, you can up here on the tab here, I'm going to pull off from the player. And I say get coin count. There it is. I'm going to get the count, and then I'm going to update the count. So to update it, I'm going to go ahead and drag off from my player again. I'm going to say set coin count. This is going to give us a different type of bubble. We got to make sure this is plugged in. So our player's got to run this. So from our player, we're going to run that. And all I want to do is add to my coin count. Let me go ahead and move this out of the way. So I'm going to take my current coin count. I'm going to look at what's here. I'm going to hit the plus sign. I'm going to say integer plus integer. So it's going to look at how many coins I currently have. Then we're going to add one to it. And I go ahead and plug that in. That's just a very simple way of doing it. You could also increment. Increment's another way you could do it. And then the last thing I want to do is get rid of the coin so it disappears. So I'm going to drag this off. And I say destroy actor. Here it is. Go ahead and label this. I'll do select it all, press C. This will be collect coin. And this is rotate coin. Rotate coin. Compile it, save it. Now, if I play, wow, that thing's going crazy. I should be able to collect the coin. Cool. We want to be able to see that, so let me go ahead and dial down the speed of my coin. That was going pretty fast. The reason it was going faster is we turned the collision off, and Unreal kind of gauges the mass of an object by its collision boundary. I don't know why they did that, but I'm going to dial this down to a much smaller value, to like, I don't know, 10. Wow, it's still too fast. Let's go back in. Maybe 3. We'll try 3. That's far more reasonable. Okay, so let's go ahead and save this, and let's add in the ability to see our coins when we collect them, and then we'll have a thing that says you win or you lose. So to do that, let's go to our blueprints. System, and we have this widget here. I'm going to go ahead and open the widget up. And inside my widget is our screen right here. We have design view and graph view. Graph has some code in it. Design view is some visual stuff. All I want in here is my coin count, so I'm going to drag in this text, not the text box, but just the text, and drag that in. Position this on the screen wherever you want it to be. I'm going to have it kind of off to the left. And this is going to say coins. So under text, I'll say coins. And then next to that, I'm going to add another text box. I'll drag this in. I'm going to name this. So I'm going to come up to the top here where it says details. I'm going to call this coin count. Coin count. And then here, let me zoom in on that. I just want to make sure that these are aligned properly. So this one, its position Y is 912. This one, I want to make its position Y the same, so 912, so they have the same height. And I don't know how much is going to go in here, so I'm just going to put 0 for now. And that'll let me see about where to kind of place that. So, and it should expand this way. So when the number increases, it should go this way, not that way. But we'll see. So coins currently set to 0, but I want to be able to set this based on the player's current coin count. So to do that, I'm going to come over to my text. So make sure we have our coin count selected. Right next to the text, we have a bind. I'm going to create binding. And kind of like we did with the collection of the coin, we have to talk to the player. So I have to reach off of this, cast to player, cast to player. There we are. And we need our player object this time. So I'm going to drag this off. We'll get player pawn, because that's the type of object it is. Get player pawn. And then from our player, we want our coin count. So I drag this off. I'll say get coin count. And let's plug that into the return value. It'll convert it to text for us. We can compile that, save it. And then we need to add our widget to our HUD. So I'm going to take my HUD, open that up. Again, if you get one of these weird moments where it's like a list, just hit open full blueprint. And inside of the HUD, under event graph, from the begin play, I just want to create the widget. So I'm going to say create create widget. And then from here, I'm going to create my runner widget. And then I'm going to add it to the viewport. So add to viewport. We'll hook our return value up to target, so make sure that those are connected. We'll compile it, save it, and then run it. Now I have a coin count. You see coins, and if I collect this coin, dink, I've collected a coin. So let's create the coin color, make it pretty. So materials. I'll just duplicate one of these. I'll call this coin. So for my coin color, I'll just pick, like a metallic goldish color. And to give it some shininess, I'm going to actually add some other values. So for my metallic, I can drag that off. And I'm going to get a scalar parameter. I'll call this metallic. Hi, kitten. I'll set the default value to, I don't know, 0.5. That's good enough. And I'll set that in my coins. So let's go back to our items, coin, grab the coin, add a material to the right here. There it is. And we can use these coins to kind of set up our path, right? So let's go ahead and add a few. So we'll have that. Kind of give it a challenge to the player, Since I don't have the ability to back up, putting coins out here would be mean, so I'm going to not put coins out there. But if you have the ability to back up, you can add coins if you like. And this will flip us up here. Throw a coin onto that. If you're not sure how I'm duplicating the coins, it's again, I'm holding down the Alt key, and then I'm just dragging off of the current one that's there. Okay. And then down here, for my endless runner. My endless runner will eventually end, so I'm just going to go ahead and just add some coins. I'll make some challenges here. Not going to be too complex, just make it however. And then for the last little bit of this, I want to make part of the game that lets me end the game. But we're already about 18 minutes in, so I think I'm going to call it here, and we will pick up in the next video. All right, I'll see you there.